Today's video is sponsored by W Jitterless Energy Blend, formulated to give you the focus and energy with no jitters or crash. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented Neurofactor, with more than 10 different flavors to enjoy and start your day strong. Are you ready to try W? Visit W.gg today and use promo code ARROWWAN to save 10% on your purchase today. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you guys do enjoy our content, please hit that like and subscribe button down below for us. And also, if you guys want to check out our streaming platforms and our Discord server, and also we are back on Twitter as well. Links for all those websites are down below in the description section if you guys want to check those out. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So you guys seen my video on the PlayStation Classic. It's a phenomenal thing. I got that on eBay. You guys can still find those on eBay and Amazon. Some of them can be pretty pricey for what they are, especially the NES Classics, SNES Classics, Genesis, and such. But nothing compares to something that has been advertised on social media and on Amazon, are stuff like this. And I got this about a year or so ago for Christmas. Mel got it for me, and she paid like $70 or $80 for this device, Game Stick Controller Pad. Now, you see a bunch of these online, and they all pretty much do the same exact thing. You plug it into your TV, and you have access to thousands upon thousands of video games released from Atari, Nintendo, Sega, Sony PlayStation, N64, and such. And this has thousands of games on it, and also states it has 3D games such as PlayStation 1 games, N64, Dreamcast. It goes all the way up to Dreamcast games, but it doesn't have the whole library to them. So what's inside this box? What is included? Let's go ahead and look into that real quick. So, of course, having it open already, and I've already tried it out to give you guys an honest review on what I think about these. So, here is the main stick itself. 4K 3D Games Game Stick Lite. It's a USB adapter that plugs right into your TV, and, of course, it's going to need a power source of, I guess it's a USB-A or USB-B type cable, which it does come with one of them, of course. If you have any of these type of plugs laying around the house, they do work. But also, you're going to need an adapter because it does not have an adapter to go with it. I just happen to find one of my kids' adapters that plugs in USB, so that will definitely come in handy. But also, upon this is this little USB device, and I think that's where all the game... Nope. I think this is basically a wireless dongle. So we got a wireless dongle that goes to it, and all the cards, all the games that come with this thing is on a micro USB card that is on the side. I can't bounce it out right now, but you guys can see it. There is a card that sticks right in there, and I forgot how big the card is, but you're supposed to be able to edit and put games onto it or take games off. Now, I will say this ahead of the review right now, that is not possible. I tried plugging this into my computer, and there is no way possible that I can add games or subtract games to this thing, and I will tell you why a little bit later on. So also, minus having, okay, this is a charging port, I think. You got two, count them, two wireless controllers, and yes, they are basically PlayStation 3 controllers, or it's in the shape of a PS3 controller to the T. And of course, it's got, you see A and B on it, and X and Y on it. It's like they couldn't keep with a similar scheme to it. But all you do, you put in two AAA batteries is what they take. So of course, you got controllers that take batteries, and it does have a switch on and off switch button down here that turns it on. And you do got power indicators up here that tells you that it's powered on and which controller it is, like green for player 1, red for player 2. And I think there was a couple other things on here. Okay, there is a USB extender. So in case if the cord is not long enough for you, you can extend it out a little bit. As well as an instruction booklet, which I don't know why Okay, there is some English to it. So it's in English and it's in Japanese on the other side for the device. Now, what do I think about this? Well, I think everything will be laid out once I give you the demonstration of how this works and what is on it. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And as you can see, guys, this is the main menu part of the game stick. It'll come up to a menu depending on where you started at or where you last left off when you played it. So there's a ton of different platforms on this stick to choose from. Some of them I'm not too familiar with, or have I ever really seen them in a sense, but we got the Atari ST, Adams, I guess it's Adams Wave. I never heard of Adams Wave. We'll check that out in a little bit. Commodore 64, the Amiga, FB Alpha. What is FB Alpha? I want to say, okay, they're top-down shooters. Okay, these are all shooter games. So I never heard of the FB Alpha. We got MX or MSX. What is that? I don't think I've ever heard of this. This might be another foreign. Yeah, this is Japan and Europe. Okay, so this is a foreign console right here, mostly in Japan. That's why I've never heard of it over here in the U.S. You got the Odyssey 2, Vectrex. Vectrex was that built-in monitor that had the controller in it. It was like an all-in-one. It was like a monitor and gaming system and such. And they were all wireline-based games, kind of like Star Fox in a way. So I never really got into playing those. We got NES hacks. This is 1900 games from the NES. I guess they're all hacked in some way. What was that, 52 games, 7-in-1s and such. Okay, so I'm guessing they all have different hacks to them. I might have to try that out later. Game Boy, which is the original Game Boy and such. Game & Watch, if you remember those little handheld watch game devices that they had. Damn. Okay, I was going to say, you know, the little Game & Watches, the watches that you would put on your wrist and shit and play. Those kind of things were early back in the 80s. Virtual Boy, if you remember the goggles, the red goggles that had a controller to it. Yeah, they're here. Everything's in like 2D, so you don't have to worry about the 3D aspect. And there's only 29 games, which I think that was basically the whole library for the console was 29 games, maybe a little bit more. We got the Neo Geos and the Neo Geo Pocket, Dreamcast, which somewhat works on here. Actually, I think the audio just fucked up on me there. I don't even know. There we go. It's like the audio's in and out. Now, if you've played Resident Evil Code Veronica before, guys, you know this scene. So you know when it gets to it, it's going to look really fucked up.
Wait, don't shoot. Who are you?
I played this game religiously back in the day when it came out in '99 on Dreamcast. Between my cousin, my uncle, and I, we played it and we beat it.
Sorry about that.
This was a long game. It was probably like the longest in the series at the time. And it had just came out on Dreamcast only back then. Don't he look like Leonardo DiCaprio?
My name's Steve.
Just watch his head. Pay attention. Yep. Y'all see that? Oh, God, that shit's hilarious. Emulation at its finest for one of these. So I will say, if you expect to play these 3D games, these later 3D games on here, expect a lot of this. A lot of glitching, a lot of clipping. It just happens. Now, if I go to the N64, I'm going to show you The World Is Not Enough. There we go. Now watch this next part. Where is my gun? Where's my gun? My gun is missing. The gun is glitched out. There's a lot of things wrong with this game right here, with this shit right here. Oh, there's the gun. So yeah, guys, emulation at its finest on this stick. Now, if I play it on like a regular emulator, like let's say on the PC, I play it on like Project 64, everything comes in perfect, 100% But something like that, yeah, it does not come in that well and such. Oh my god, look at that. It's almost like it clears up a little bit when I'm recording, but on the actual screen, it's, yeah, I could definitely tell. This is very bad. Like, this is not how GoldenEye is supposed to look, guys. This is not how GoldenEye is supposed to look at all. And this is all outputting on this device. It's coming from this device. So what I'm seeing is what you guys are seeing. Same thing with the audio. This is not how GoldenEye is supposed to look, people. Oh my god. This is not... It's supposed to look a little bit more crisper. Well, to me, in person, it looks very, very pixelated, but you guys might see it as different. And playing with this controller does not help matters much either. Between, you know, well, some of these games, they do have a latency issue with them. I will say that when you go to play certain titles on this device, there is latency when it comes to certain games, which can be a problem though. Like if you're trying to play, if there's a game you're trying to play and actually beat, you know, a game that you want to actually complete, yeah, it's going to prove very difficult for you. Like, I'm going to try to beat this first stage right here. And this is definitely... What the fuck? Why ain't this gate opening? Okay. This gate is actually supposed to open? There we go. Took it a while. Like, yeah, this is... As you guys can see, the way the graphics are on here, like, this is how it is running. It's running off of a HDMI stick. So everything is not as smooth as it should be. So if you guys experience any kind of stuttering at all, that's the device running it. Oh my god, I can't even shoot the lock. Oh my god, I can't even shoot the fucking lock. There we go. Yeah, using this controller is not the best solution. Like, even look at how the sky tears. There's a lot of graphical tearing in this game. Yeah, this is not the best way to go. I mean, I get it. A lot of people are nostalgic for stuff like this. But I would say if you have like a Nintendo Switch, I would say go with the emulator system on the Switch. It plays a lot better and it looks a lot more crisper and smoother than this. And it definitely, like I said, it definitely plays a lot better on there. You can either do that, or you can go and see if you can find an actual N64 somewhere and play with that. Now, a lot of old school gamers from the 80s, they look at something like this and can I play the old school Atari games? Let's say you want to play Adventure, right? Okay, so let's load up Adventure. But guess what? No matter what game I go into in the category for Atari 2600, it does this. It loops it right back out to the main screen and gives you an open error. So no matter what game I go into, it does not work on the 2600. I do not know why, and it sucks that I cannot take the card out of the device, put it into my computer, and upload fresh ROMs to it so it can work. The thing is locked out to where I cannot do anything. Like, if I go try to play, let's say, Asteroid Fire, something's got to work on here, right? Nope, of course not. I must have tried like 24 Atari 2600 games on here, and none of them work. I've tried all these games just about. None of them work out, people. None of the Atari 2600 games work. So if I go to the folder here, there is a folder where it shows all games, right? So out of 41,829 games, probably about 1,000 or two, maybe about 2,000 or 3,000 of them, as far as I know, do not play, or they do not play properly, or maybe half the games on here don't play properly at all. And that is an issue with this, because when you buy a device like this from Amazon or eBay, and they tell you you can play up to 45,000 games, take that with a grain of salt, because you're not going to be able to play every single game on here because of the fact that they're either too glitched out, they will not run or work, or in a case of, let's say I go to PlayStation and I want to play Resident Evil 2, and you're expecting to have Resident Evil 2 in English form, right? You know how you get it over here in America, or maybe even over in Europe. So let's see, do we get the PlayStation? Nope. See, it's in Spanish. So there's a version of this in Spanish, and I think there's a version of it in Japanese. How can I read this? You can't even change the let's see, can I is it? Okay, no, that's not it. That's configuration. That's audio. That's adjusting the, okay. So no, there is no way of changing the language in the game. So when they put this together, they put the most dumbed down ROMs on this thing possible. Let me see if Resident Evil Director's Cut. I think I tried this out too, and I think it gave me the same issue. But these are foreign ROMs. Yep, look, Spanish. So this thing, I imagine, was probably made in Mexico or somewhere. I'm not sure. Nope, made in China. Yep, this thing is made in China. So yeah, these are there's a bunch of ROMs here. Like, some of them are in English, don't get me wrong. But when you got games that are in Spanish, or in Japanese, or in Chinese, or whatever, and you want to play them, but you can't because you can't understand what the hell they say. So yeah, you do got some foreign games in here that shouldn't be in here, but then when you get a product from China, yeah, that's exactly what you're going to get. Look how opaque this looks. This looks like a child's painting. This is not the original artwork for the game. It's almost like they did a once-over glossy look with the game. Like, this does not look very appealing to some. And this is also an example of latency. Like, it's not, the controls are not very tight when it comes to software like this. It's not very tight at all. In fact, like I said, there is latency, a little bit of latency. It's not by much, but it is very noticeable. Like, you got maybe just a tiny fraction of a second that's off from the control scheme, and that tends to be an issue with some people who try to play games like this. Like, I want to be able to play a game where the controls are real tight to the T, and I can actually control my character rather than have some kind of delay on it. So yeah, some of these games will have some kind of latency to them, and like I said, this does not look appealing. This is very bright. This is actually too bright for some eyes. So some of these games will be very vibrant like that. And I'm pretty sure people want to play Sonic the Hedgehog, right? And I think Sonic is one of those that is kind of in the same boat when it comes to latency issues. And I've noticed it quite a little bit playing on the television. So yeah, all I want to do is just play the fucking game. Okay. Okay, so there is just a fraction of latency here with the button pushing. That's about it. It's a little bit delayed, just a tiny bit delayed. It even feels like at times where if you push the button very lightly, nothing happens, or it's like you almost gotta push down on it real hard to get somewhere. But yeah, it doesn't seem too noticeable right now as I'm recording this for you guys. But if you were to play this on a television, yeah, you would definitely tell that, yeah, there is something wrong with this device right here. And they tried, you know, I want to say they tried with putting games on here the best they could to make them run the best that they could. But other than that, it is what it is. This is a very generic emulating stick for people who want to be able to enjoy gaming, retro gaming, at an affordable price. But yeah, that is pretty much everything. You know, you got everything from, like, look, 4-player games. How can you have 4 players on a device that only has 2 controllers, and you got a wireless dongle with it that only connects these 2 controllers? That makes no sense at all to me. Even PSP, like, there is some PSP titles on here, which are pretty cool. You know, they do have a little bit of latency issue with them, but I do enjoy playing stuff like this, like Ridge Racer. Hey, look, Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. You got Dynasty Warriors. There's a version of Spider-Man 2 on there. Like, there's a lot of good games on here, but they don't include a whole lot of different titles. Now, the Nintendo DS, that is a very interesting one to play around with if you got the time to play around with it, because you got a touch screen at the bottom and the main screen at the top, so it's kind of hard to navigate with a controller on that. And yes, it's very clunky. And of course, you know, you got Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, you got different Sega consoles on here. You got Game Boy Color, Famicom Disk System. That's what came out in Japan. So these are all Japanese ports right here of different games if you're into that. Sega 32X games. You know what? Let me see how Doom looks, because I don't think I've played Doom on the 32X on here yet. So this should be very interesting to check out. I couldn't even tell you what the controls are, to be honest with me. Oh my fucking god. Yeah. This is Doom on the 32X. They say this one don't have it doesn't have any music to it, but they also dubbed down the graphics. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I don't know if you guys could tell. Like, on here, it's horrible. It probably looks a lot better when you guys are watching it, but this is absolutely bad. This is like, this would hurt your fucking eyes. It doesn't really hurt my eyes unless I'm squinting, but yeah, this does not look really appealing at all. So yeah, that's Doom for the 32X. So, what do you guys think about this thing? Like, this thing, for $80-some on Amazon for something like this, I gotta say, it's not really a steal. In a way, it is kind of a steal, because you got dozens of gaming platforms on this device to choose from the early days of the Odyssey all the way up to the Dreamcast. You got over 40,000 games to choose from, where a fraction of them doesn't seem to work or they glitch out. And then, of course, like I said, a lot of the library has a big issue with latency. So if you are able to play a game where the controls are pretty delayed at certain times, then that may be something for you. But I think for something like this is more for the casual gamer who misses playing that kind of stuff, or is not into modern day gaming like Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo Switch. This is probably something good to give to give your family or give your friends, birthday, Christmas gift, whatever. So, is this thing worth it? It all depends. If it's something that you're interested in and you want to try it out, but just buyer beware, you are going to get what you paid for. That's why you always look into these things. You look at the reviews first for things like this before you decide to buy it. It is not a complete shit project. I see what they were doing with it. You know, even though a lot of people do emulate on PCs, and some of the newer gaming consoles also They also have an emulation process to it to where you could play old school games and such. But if you're more of a casual gamer and you're looking to get something like this, I would definitely check it out for you guys. And it's nothing like the PlayStation Classic. It's nothing like the NES Classic. This is something different. They have different variations of it on Amazon and on eBay. Maybe you can find one that's pretty cheap, or just go with what you get. That does it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end. If you have made it to the end, if you enjoyed today's video or any other content on the channel, make sure you hit that like, subscribe button down below, and also join us on social media on Twitter and on our Discord server if you want updates for future streams and videos coming out right here on the channel. Now, until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next one.